Looks like it's 5:01 by the clock over here, so I'll go ahead and call this March 2021 regular meeting of the Victoria Parks Commission to order. Let me ask first, you said Jesse Olivares, Commissioner Olivares is on Zoom?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Hi, Jesse. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing, sir?
Very good, very good. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5, so I think we've got enough to proceed. Anybody else joins on, will you let us know if they pop on?
Yes, sir.
This is Stephen Ford. I'm here as well.
Oh, okay. Stephen, how are you?
Yes, sir. Both of those are.
This is Gail. I'm here as well.
Oh, man.
We're good.
Right. There's no problem. Here. There's no problem with the quorum then. We're in very good shape. Before we start, I wanted to take just a moment to remember Mayor McCoy, whose untimely passing on Friday took us all by surprise. I've had the opportunity I've known Raleigh for many years. I've worked with him on things for his, between his clients, my clients, things like that. But after he became mayor, I had the opportunity to work with him more closely, particularly on the Sales Tax Development Corporation. And what I can say is, I'm sure you all have similar thoughts. He was a tireless and dedicated servant to the community. And without objection, I'd ask if we might take just a few moments of silence to remember Raleigh. Thank you so much. Jason called about that and asked about whether we should proceed or not, and I think our feeling was that that's probably what Raleigh would have wanted us to do, was to go ahead and meet and continue on with our business. Thank you all very much. I'll call for citizen communication at this point. Is there anyone present who would like to address the commission? Anyone present online who would like to address the commission? We don't have any.
No, sir.
Visitors on the panel. Okay, we'll close that and start announcements and reminders. We are, as we know, we are appearing both. This meeting is held both Zoom and in person. As everyone knows, the information on how to join is on the agenda. But I'm assuming that if you haven't joined already, you're probably not going to. So first off is item D1, approval of the minutes. The minutes were in the packet that was posted. I was not there.
The online participants only see the PowerPoint, not the speaker. Can we change that view?
Well, I can't, but I bet we can. Or maybe I can.
She should be able to do it in her view. We're showing a camera view.
Gail, we're not much to look.
You could just swipe to the right, Gail. If you swipe to the right, it should show the ones and you can pick them, I think.
Yeah, but it's okay, Lee. Go ahead.
Gail, we're not much to look at anyway.
You'd probably have to stop sharing the PowerPoint to make it show full screen speaker, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to any changes or corrections to the minutes, or a motion to approve them?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the minutes as read.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the minutes of the Monday, February 8th, 2021 meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
One opposed?
Oh, no. I guess I was late on the aye, sorry. On the non-opposed.
Good deal. All right, is that Justin?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
How are you, Justin?
I'm great. I'm great. I was very still sad about my good friend and mentor, Raleigh, passing away. That's all.
Well, you're right about that. That was really quite a shock. Okay, we have, okay, we're moving on to other business. Item E1, it looks like we've got a well, before we do that, and I apologize, I want to introduce our newest commissioner. Brian Billingsley is joining us tonight for the first time. He was appointed last Tuesday by council, and he's filling the position that Gloria formerly held. Gloria resigned last month, and Brian has been appointed to replace her. So welcome, Brian. Happy to have you here. I apologize for not starting out on that. We were kind of
That's all right, just moving along.
Hi.
Nice
Focused
to
on
be here,
something
nice
else,
to meet, everybody, and look forward to serving with y'all.
Welcome.
Brian and Mike both got the memo about pink shirts. Ashley and I didn't get that memo. So anyway, welcome, Brian. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Looking forward to working with you. So flow paddle presentation, that
That's me.
is your deal, Ashley.
You mind if I jump up?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. We're getting loaded. Did you need me to pull it up? I have my computer. Do you have USB?
That's gonna be hard. I need to actually present it to this.
Okay. You need to email it?
Let me see if I can. Mr. Keeling, would you be opposed to moving to item E2 to allow us a little bit of time for the E1 presentation?
I would absolutely not be opposed to that at all. While the technology is pulled into line, Jason, you want to go ahead and give us a update on the master plan?
Absolutely, sir. Sorry about that. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so the master plan update, I've got about 3 different items that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention. One of them was in regard to the surveys. I think we've done a really good job with pushing the surveys out. More specifically, Kimberly has had an opportunity to create some mini survey posters, if you will, actually even overall survey posters, and have put them throughout the park system. And so I don't know if y'all have been to the parks and seen those, but it's really cool. They've got a little QR code on them, and you can just scan it from your phone. I think that's been really helpful with increasing our surveys results that we have. However, with the Parks and Recreation overall survey, just because of the length of it, because it's on the phone, we feel that, we're probably having less of a completion rate just due to that, just the length of it being on the phone. So I wanted to share some stats with you that we received from HAF last Thursday. So again, this is last Thursday. We've had this whole weekend to increase these, but pretty happy with them overall. So for the entire park system, we have 214 surveys. We're trying to hit a 300 mark, but we actually just got another 40 or 50 surveys from our Parks and Recreation staff, so we're going to help that out with that. So 214 surveys for the park system. For the conceptuals, we have 266 for Riverside Park alone. We have 123 for Ethel Lee Tracy. And
Jason, I'm sorry. Could you get the tech person, James, perhaps, to share that screen now? Because we don't see your presentation.
I don't have a presentation, ma'am. I'm just giving an update. I was just trying to fill in real quick so that way James could take care of the presentation for Flow Paddle.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. And then we have, so we have 123 surveys for Ethel Lee, and then 51 surveys for MLK Park. So again, we feel like over the last couple of weeks, we've been pushing those, and it has been helping. We're still continuing to push on social media. and so, yeah, we're pushing as much as we can. We think so far we've had some pretty good turnouts for those survey results. So with that being said, we are also looking at having our open house to the general public. This will also include stakeholder meetings for conceptual renderings and conceptual design workshops. So currently we have tentative dates being Tuesday, March the 30th and Wednesday, March the 31st. We do plan on having one meeting held on the south side of town and one meeting being held on the north side of town. The north side of town, we're looking at a VISD facility because, quite frankly, our city facilities or our recreation facilities aren't there. And so our only other facilities that we think citywide would be, a fire station. So we're going to reach out to VISD, probably Vickers, or even the Hyatt on the north side and see what we can do. On the south side, we did reach out to the Boys and Girls Club. Their facilities don't and their staffing isn't going to mesh basically with our schedule. So we're going to be looking at having the open house on the south side at the community center. If y'all can think of any other places, because these haven't been set in stone yet, if you can think of any other places, please let me know. We do plan on having all of this finalized by the end of this week, so we can give HAF associates that information, in addition to sending out the invitations to not only you, but to the other stakeholders within the community. And then lastly, we have our chapter drafts. We just received chapters 1 and 2 about a week and a half ago. Staff was able to review those. We still have a little bit of back and forth to do with HAF, which we're going to finalize by the end of this week. But I would hope that within, by the end of next week, or at the very latest the week after that, we would have a draft to be able to present to you. We're probably just going to send that to you via email, so that way you have an opportunity to look at it. And then come the next meeting in April, we'll be able to discuss any concerns or issues or suggestions that you may have.
Jason, this is Gail.
Yes, ma'am.
In the HAF Associates survey, is it set in stone, the parks that y'all have chosen, the 3 parks? Are these the ones that are going to get the most attention?
They're the ones yes, ma'am. The 3 that are going to be conceptualized they are set in stone, but I don't want to say they're going to get the most attention, but they are going to get a different level of, consultants review, which would be that conceptual. That's all I had for the updates for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Do you have any questions?
Anybody else have questions for Jason on that?
I had concerns with the south side choice of parks. I know we discussed that Santa Rosa Park that might be a better option than the one that's being looked at right now. That's all.
Noted. Yes, ma'am. Kimberly, was there anything that I may have missed? No? All right. Well, I believe we are good to go for the presentation. Will that PDF work, ma'am? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashley McGee with Flow Paddle Co. We are located in Riverside Park. A little about us. We are a family-owned local river outfitter and recreational rentals business servicing the Crossroad area. My 2 boys and I took our first kayaking ride at Riverside and quickly became regular customers of Jerry's Kayaks. We love our river, and we have made many great memories there. After the hurricane and a couple of years at Jerry's being closed, it weighed heavily on my heart that many people were missing this great opportunity to experience the river as we do. On September the 20th of 2019, we purchased Jerry's fleet of 20 kayaks and set out on our next adventure, owning a business. This is me with my 2 boys. That was actually our press release picture. We are currently operating out of the former Parks and Recreation building that was flooded and damaged by Hurricane Harvey. Fortunately for us, most of our stuff can get wet and is used outdoors. We are very grateful to the Parks and Recreation Department for placing us so perfectly right across from the boat ramp. This location behind the Rose Garden serviced us very well during 2020, our pilot year. Why is this important? The objective of this presentation is for you all to know what we currently offer as well as what we intend to carry in the future. With Riverside Grand Master Plan in the works and our partnership to bring recreational rentals to Riverside, we want to make sure that these additions will be part of the planning process instead of an afterthought. Pretty much right now.
We can't see.
Go ahead.
If there's something on the screen, I'm not able to see it. If there is images for this presentation.
Okay, just one moment.
Yep.
And currently, the slide says what we have, what we need, and what we want. And that's pretty much where our business is right now, is what we have and then what we need. And that comes from, some work that we have planned or intend to have planned, and then how we want to grow and what we want to bring to this town. Can y'all see now?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Okay, so what we have is 20 kayaks that we purchased from Jerry. I have a tandem kayak that was for me and my 2 boys, so it holds 3 people. So currently we only have 1 tandem. In the year of COVID, it was really hard to get a hold of kayaks, and especially tandem kayaks. This recreational sport took off, especially because of COVID. It's something you could do and be COVID compliant. So once the governor reopened in June, the waterways, then these boats pretty much disappeared, and so did bikes. A lot of recreational equipment was really hard to come by. So we were able to get an extra bike. We have every intention of replacing all of those boats because boats don't last forever. And then we'll take those and probably donate them to some of the local organizations like Boys and Girls Club or, the Parks Department for some of their events, or we'll disperse of them, and because they should go back to the community. They've serviced the community so far. We have a 1 paddle boat. I intend to get 3 more of those. We have a tropical snow cone trailer, and it's also located at our office. And then we have 3 bags of 6 discs and a couple Yeti coolers. We have a chalkboard door now that I recently painted, so we can get more information of local events and things going on in the park, and it can be right there ready to read on our front door. And what you see in that kind of middle picture is a paddle leash. We also found out that we had to purchase safety stuff, things that you just wouldn't think of, but we lost paddles, we lost life jackets. So last year, like I said, was our pilot year, and we're just kind of figuring out what all we need to make sure that our customers have the most enjoyable ride and don't lose things. We're not trying to cost them extra money. We've tried to keep this really affordable. It's $25 for 2 hours on a kayak. So I really want to reach families and let them have this opportunity to float our river. And tubing is also something that we're bringing. We'll be adding that tomorrow. We bought a whole bunch of tubes, and then as soon as we got them, because we received, probably 10 requests of tubes by phone in the month of June. And so we purchased those, went through a local vendor in Austin, sorry, not really local, but got some tubes, heavy duty ones that could go out on our river and have bottoms and everything to try and make this safe and fun. We experienced it for ourselves because as soon as we bought them, we're not able to rent them and haven't been able to rent them until tomorrow. And then we go to the next one.
Ashley, you have, is that a stand-up paddleboard?
Yes, sir, stand-up paddleboard.
Okay.
And we have 1, we intend to get 3 more.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you teach people how to do that?
I would. I am all about teaching anybody who wants to know how to do any of this stuff. I will go out with anyone who's feeling insecure and make sure that they have a good handle on kayaking. And I've had all kinds of friends, all different ages, go I consider it to be a safe sport on our portion of the river. I mean, I've been taking my children since they were 3, so I mean, we are water people, but I feel like we really, I mean, most days we have a very safe portion of the river. You can swim in it. But what we need is safe river, handicap accessible entrance and exit points for all ages. Most of my customers, or I'd say a third of them probably, are over 55 and often need something to grab onto they kind of roll currently out of their kayak onto the floating dock. It's a sight. I mean, there's a lot of laughter that goes on, but we're not trying to make it funny when they're exiting their boats. So like I said, we've had several disabled special needs. I've had handicapped people on the river multiple times. Slightly senior guests who love the river too, and they want to be able to enjoy it. A tubing exit. The floating dock is too high and it's too small for tubers, which right around the corner where the floating dock is, there's kind of this perfect area that needs some cleaning out, but I think with the right group of people, we could get that done, and then maybe just go the old school route where we fill it up with Quikrete and you can climb out the sides. I think there would be people who would invest their time and money and energy into getting that done and helping anyway. I know I would. River root and tree limb overhang cleanup, and I should clarify, we love our river roots because that's where turtles hang out. I have seen an alligator, a small one, and they like to rest on the roots. I'm not trying to disrupt nature in any way. It wouldn't be the same as saw a river otter on Christmas Day. I want it to be their home. I love our animals, but there's about a straight 50-foot area that has low hanging trees, and it's right at this one part right near the pump house. It's like the second turn before the pump house where a lot of people are flipping out of their tubes. They're getting caught in that area. Had a couple of times last year where the police were called to help get these people out of this area. It's an area that causes a lot of issues. It's like 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5 groups. It seems like someone got caught up. There's spiders and, that's nature stuff, but you get caught in some trees and it can kind of ruin your day, especially if you lose all your stuff. We try to make sure, like I said, we focus on the essentials, what was in that last slide, where this is what all you need to have to go on the river. We try to make sure that they don't leave without having water, a dry bag, a cell phone protector, obviously a paddle leash now, your life jacket. I mean, those are the necessities. And so we try to make sure that everyone is prepared, but that one specific area, we get a lot of complaints and it just turns a fun time into a bad time. So I'd like to focus.
Like, what do they call it, a strainer, kind of an area like that where just
yes, the current just feeds you right into it.
Right, and it's hanging there and it just
right.
You out of the boat. Right.
If it was just, I mean, they're beautiful trees because they're like willow, so they hang over the water. But I mean, ultimately, someone would need to be able to stand up and, trim it. Just the length of a person. I mean, 6 feet of trimming, so that way when you go straight towards those trees, you just go right underneath them, and it's just a pretty overhang. I mean, I don't want to tear them up because they're beautiful. Some signage, the boat ramp, Pebble Beach, the pump house exit, and mile markers are also things that we get a lot of requests for. People often say, like, how much longer? Or we're at Pebble Beach, and, so how much longer do we have to go? It's just a good way of letting them know exactly where they are, especially when we have to get people out because of emergency situations. It's funny, but we've had several situations, I mean, including things that happen not on the river, but people just have to get off. And so you can kind of guide them. Like if you just saw mile marker number 3, you only have this much further. I included some pictures of the Goliad paddling trail. It's something that they had worked on a couple years ago. The Coastal Bend Paddling Association actually told me about this. And they said, have you been there? You have to go check it out. It's pretty amazing. It's PVC piping on some welded rods. It's really not that detailed or intricate. I took, 100 pictures of it. So this goes on for over 200 feet. I measured it. And they go all the way up this steep staircase, then it goes around the side, and you can roll your kayak all the way to your vehicle. So for my business, this doesn't really help me, except it helps every single other person that, I mean, it does, but it helps people be able to go without us as well. People that just want to go to the river, they can then carry out their own kayak and roll it all the way up to their vehicle. So it would just be kind of nice. Also, it gives them a handlebar, a railing for them to walk up with as well, because, you know, it's kind of steep where our exit is. And then this floating dock is pretty cool. Obviously, it's made out of wood, but it is a floating dock. It has a neat little system over here to the right where it's screwed together, that piece at the top right. As the dock goes higher or lower, it goes up as well. So it's hinged to make like a little bridgeway. It's also at the bottom left corner, so you can kind of see how that works. Because I know that the rising and lowering of the water is an issue. It looks like they had the same issue and kind of worked with it. This was just to give y'all some ideas of what would be nice to have down there. Also, there's plenty of space for people to be able to fish off of as well. And then going to the next one, what we need. This is what I think we need. I mean, like I said, we have bikes and we intend to get more. It's just been kind of a struggle. But, and I really like Schwinn bikes. They seem to be good on the road. They're not horribly expensive. And then they're also good on pathways. So bike and scooter paths, and I said scooter, they don't have to go there. We do intend to get some scooters. They can go on the road, but I guess just mainly a bike lane with a separate lane for pedestrians and runners, clearly labeled along the pathways, if not their own lane completely. So if you're looking down, you'll see this is where you need to be if you're riding your bike, and this is where you need to be walking. And when we have gone biking on the trail, there's always someone who almost runs right into us. And then for that runner, it's more scary because they don't want to collide with a bicycle. And we'll just be riding our bike and we go to cut that corner, and then there's that one person who's running or walking, and we're just not in sync, especially nowadays people have headphones in. So, I'm just trying to make it as safe and fun as possible. And the nature trail is lovely to ride along, but the feedback that I've gotten about it is negative, that the gravel portion is kind of an uncomfortable ride. And I've done it as well. I mean, it's neat, but we like the paved portion better. The nature trail also, we would recommend, lanes for walkers and runners and bikers. And then as a business, we're really focused on being green. And so we've been recycling all of our tubers' trash. We go through it all, make sure that we're not leaving any trash on the river. We send out a bag that can go into the water to make sure that people don't throw their trash on the river. I'd be willing to work with different people to make sure that we can clean underneath the bridges or clean more. I would give gift cards to people who will, if they'll bring me a bag of trash or take a picture and put it on Facebook, I'd very willingly give them a gift card to come kayak with us if they'll help us do cleanup efforts underneath the bridges. So in our new office, we've been working on getting some merchandise that we'd like to sell. And so we're trying to keep products that are cruelty-free and they're fair trade or made in the USA. So we're trying to be as good of a company as we can be. We also want to continue to grow with local tourism and nonprofit organizations to strengthen our local small businesses. This year, we got to partner up with several local organizations, and we just want to keep growing that. I mean, we're here to serve our community, and I mean, that's what we're about more than anything. We just really want people to have fun in our park, and in this area, we have wonderful waterways that are not used enough. So We also recommend bringing photo props to town, like this ATX that you see. We love it. That was a really fun photo op, and when we were in Austin, people were lined up to take pictures inside this thing. And bringing something like that, like where it's VTX, I think having something like that in our Riverside Park would bring a lot of life down there just to take the pictures. It's another photo op that's not downtown, but at Riverside. I think that could be fun. At one of our meetings, I mentioned that I think we were talking about stuff we could do in this one area that was a little bit undesirable. And the very bottom left picture, there's a picture of a graffiti park. And I'm sorry, that's going to be on the What We Need page at the very bottom. There's like 4 girls and it says love in the middle. That's a graffiti park. And so if there is an undesirable piece of property that is falling apart, ugly, needs new paint, I would recommend creating an area that people can legally go graffiti in. And I mean, tear up an ugly area. I recently went to the Ethel Lee Tracy Park, and it was kind of disturbing that the park that we had just visited had stuff on the slides and that people had marked up. And this beautiful park took goo gone and it scrubs right off. But permanent marker, doing graffiti, I don't know, let's take it to a place where you can do that. And that's just an idea. Like I said, that's just one area that we happened to visit, which I thought was kind of cool because it gives people the opportunity to still do their art, but put it somewhere else, not on our pretty new playground equipment. And then I added on here hand soap in the bathrooms because I get a lot of complaints about that. My girlfriends go to the bathroom and then they go, we don't have soap. And I had friends visiting from Houston. That was when I took them to Ethel Lee Tracy. And we spent 2 hours playing at the park, which, by the way, they said was amazing. I mean, it's comparable to what they have in League City. It was fun for all of us. I mean, we really did, just like we played on it at our commissioner meeting, I mean, so did all of my friends. I mean, all of us, we played and engaged with our children, which is exactly what a children's park should do. So then moving on to what we want. I'm currently looking at that train on the left. This is something that I would definitely need your approval on. And I'm sorry, we're going to the next slide. I'm sorry. He's getting it loaded for y'all. It's not coming up.
I think it was an earlier slide. It was the one that had what we have on it too.
Oh, okay, there we go. And then what we want. Got it. Okay, so what we want, there on the left, there is a train. It holds 16 people. I met with the owner. He's had it since 2017. Got to look at it in person. It's really awesome. It's one of the things that I hear a lot from all kinds of people that bring back the train that was a big hit when we were kids. And we don't want to invest in another track because obviously the flooding and the hurricane, it'll tear it up and, you know, just having to maintain tracks. But this is a great alternative. It's something that we could use all throughout the park and take it from, my recommendation would be to take it from Flow Paddle Co., our office. I could sell tickets there. Maybe even do some type of card pass where you pay $10 or $5. I'm not sure on the pricing yet, but and we can stamp it stamp it or do the little cutouts where you can go to multiple stops, and then when you fill it up, then you can renew it. So this might be for locals and for tourists, but it would give you transportation between the children's park and then down to Pebble Beach and to the Generals Stadium, then the Pump House, the Texas Zoo. So it really could just kind of showcase different areas and, like I said, be a great form of transportation between different parks. And then also we would just drive through there to give kind of people a tour of the park. Definitely go down Fox Bend. I'm currently working on some Flow Paddle Co. T-shirt designs with August 5 Designs, and want to bring some Victoria and Explore Victoria type of merchandise. So it'll be T-shirts that have our river image on it and just stuff that really feeds back into the community and what it looks like here. There's those Roam wallets, and on those you can have custom designs. So I'm looking to do something of our river that goes from the front of our children's park to the pump house. So it would be like if you turned it over, it would go one image all the way panoramic. So that's another thing that I'm working on with a local artist to kind of draw up our park so we can put that on a wallet. Everything that I sell is going to be backed up by me. I have used all of these products. That wallet I've had for 3 years. It's waterproof. And I'm not going to sell a product that isn't backed by me. It's got to be 100% a good product. So Segway Scooters is a line of Segway scooters that we picked up. Sorry. So we'll be working with Segway Commercial to bring those scooters. So you'll be able to ride. We're going to start with 4, and you'll be able to ride around in the park, and everybody will have a helmet, and they'll have to sign a waiver, obviously. And then someone yesterday forgot their sunscreen, so we'll definitely be selling that. And then, general, I guess, beachy shop type of merchandise. And then if you look at the far right, that's Crescent Kayaks, and that's who I'm looking to get a deal together to completely replace our fleet. And they're made in the USA. They have really great work ethic. Just kind of the right company, I feel like, for us to go with. And then that way we can have one uniform, pretty fleet in Victoria, something that we can truly be proud of. And we have to replace boats at some point anyways. Might as well make it something we can be proud of. And then on the last slide, let's see. Sorry. One more, I think. Oh, one more. Oh, that one. I'm sorry. On this last slide, you can see we've had several families, and that seems to be the majority of what we're going to have is families out on the water, all ages. We have them from little bitty to the elderly, and everyone seems to really love our water. In the middle, that's my 2 children, and that was their first ride going on the river, and we've loved it, and we just want all of these other families to love it and experience it the way that we have loved it. And that's all I have for y'all today. Do y'all have any questions while I'm up here? Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the presentation. It
Thank you.
definitely shows your enthusiasm for the park, and it's awesome. I didn't even know Flow Paddle existed. I've only been here in Victoria for 2 years. But I had a question about where the put-in and takeouts are. Obviously, I know where the boat ramp is, kind of down there below the Rose Garden, and I heard you mention the pump house.
The pump house is where the exit is. And right there, it's just like a stairwell, and it has a small floating dock. I want to say it's probably about 10 feet by 10.
Okay. And those are the only 2 public entrance and exits on that section of the river?
On that section. And you could get out at...
I've got the map pulled up, so that's what I was looking at.
Oh, no, that's okay. So Pebble Beach is an exit point, but it would be hard to carry your boat out right there. So currently it takes about 2 hours on our portion of the river, which is 4.5 miles. We actually have one of the largest stretches, I think, in the state of Texas. So it's a really good portion of the river to have on, in a park as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree. I think that having the river right there running through Riverside Park is a jewel for this city and something that could definitely, be expanded upon. I know I'm part of a young professionals group here in Victoria, and that's a lot of the young people that move here to work for the plants or the city or all the different employers here always find the park. And it's one of the first things that really binds them to Victoria and gets them excited about the city, especially coming from bigger cities like San Antonio or Houston or Austin, finding out that we have this park. So I think any services that we could, have, commercial vendors like yourself add to the park to, add on to that are going to be huge for engaging with the community and helping us to draw people and businesses here and keep families engaged.
Thank you.
I definitely hear what you're saying about, when you look at our section of the river, it's not as well maintained as, when you look at like a Green in New Braunfels or something like that, where you have easy access to the river. There's not a ton of easy access. I know Pebble Beach is kind of an easy access, but beyond that, there's not a lot of getting in and out of the river. So do you think that there needs to be more put in and take out parts, or do you think that that's sufficient to just have the one put in and take out?
I think we're okay with those 2. I've never heard anyone say that it was too long, but Gail has mentioned before having other location exits for tubers. And so that might be something that we could look at, is having, because when we tubed it, it was like a kind of a regular day. I monitored the river levels and their speed. And so we jumped on the river to see what it would be like. It took us 3.5 hours to tube that area. I think ideally you'd want it to be like 2 and 4 hours. So, I mean, that might be an option. With the kayaking, no one's ever said that it was too long. I've had people want to paddle board and get out at Pebble Beach. And so I've had that happen. And that's kind of a good little stint to paddleboard anyways, like just from the boat ramp to Pebble Beach. And those aren't so hard to carry out because they're lighter. But it's been great. I mean, we've had so much fun on the river. We've met so many people, and it's really a great opportunity for us to get an idea of what people want, because they feed us with so much information. I mean, if I could record them in the back seat of the shuttle when we're riding around, they are the ears, I'm the ears to what they have to say, I guess I should say, because they'll tell you everything that was wrong and everything that was great, what they loved about it, what they didn't like. And usually the complaint I get is, we got wiped out by this one section of trees. and I'll tell people too, like, okay, you're going to get to this one area, it's going to start to pick up if you'll get over to the right and walk your boat out. But for some reason people get up to it and it's too fast, and before they had a moment to get out, like, then their stuff's flipping out, and it can just ruin their time. I mean, we had someone, yesterday that someone's kid got knocked out right at that area. So just they flipped, and it happens. But I'd like to limit it if I could, and I will help. I mean, I would gladly go with whoever is working, because I don't want to overly cut down anything. I mean, I want it to just be a nice, safe area. One thing I did get a message about the boat ramp, that we've had several people slip right there when the water drops just a little bit. Yeah, sorry. And I feel so bad because it's happened so many times. I mean, my boyfriend slipped twice. He did it twice in a week, actually, and like hit his hip bone really bad and had a big old knot. And it happens. But if there's some way to make that a little less slippery, because I mean, the water drops just a little bit and then there's algae. So, but I just want to make sure we keep on top of it so it's the safest, best part of the river that we have. I love our river, and we're just getting into my season, so a lot of people are getting excited about it, and I want them to have a great experience, something they can rave about. And I love Landa Park. We go to New Braunfels a lot, and Landa Park has a lot of, I guess, what I'm looking to bring as well. I mean, we want paddle boats back at the duck pond, and if we're going to get them, I'd like them to be swans, so there's something cute to look at and that goes along with where we're putting stuff. So that's why I just wanted y'all to know kind of what I have planned out and what my intentions are. And that's all I have for y'all. Thank you. It's a very nice meeting.
Other questions or comments from anyone?
Yeah, I just had one, because there was a couple suggestions directly related to your business. I didn't know what percentage of that were you prepared to pay, if any, or was that just like something that would be cool to do, you thought?
If there was a...
Because you were asking things basically directly, that would directly benefit your company, and are you saying that you would want that included, covered by the city, basically, or is that something that you were prepared to go in on and trying to get a match on it?
This is something that I'm hoping to provide to the city, and I just want approval. Before I even started working out of the parks, out of Riverside, I wanted to make sure that I have approval to be working there, and that I don't want to add a $35,000 train and y'all be like, okay, we don't want this. This isn't the direction that we were intending with the park. So I want to make sure that basically I have your approval to offer, a train, these scooters. I have already gotten approval for the scooters, but as we start to bring on more things, your opinions, they matter. I did a survey on Facebook to kind of get an idea of would a train, would people even want this? And the feedback was great. I mean, I think 97% said yes. My son wanted to be funny and he knocked it down by 3%, but like, I don't think he realized that I was serious, but I would like to bring us a train. I think that it would be a nice method of transportation. It would be a way that I could have open air shuttling capabilities. You know, if we have tubers and we have a big group, like we had the VC volleyball team, we would be able to shuttle them, and then it becomes not just a kayaking ride, but you got to ride around on the train through the park. It just changes the whole outlook. I mean, like currently we go the fastest way to get back to our office. Now we would drive through the park so they can kind of see the other stuff that's going on. It would be just more fun. We're trying to bring more fun in life.
And what I will say is that just because we get approval or whatever, I mean, I'm assuming you're looking for some kind of approval or support tonight, we would still, as the city and department, work with Ashley, because there are some things in here that we would have to speak with legal about due to liability issues. You know, just for instance, as an example, is that train. And so if there were any other issues or concerns or something major at that point, I think it would be appropriate to bring that back to you as a commission and then point that out to y'all and let you know, hey, these are, you know, this is what the attorney's office had, you know, concerns with, and, you know, see how we can mitigate some of those potentially. So I just wanted to let you know this isn't just set in concrete. We'd still have some preliminary, or we still have some other work that we need to do.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing from you is the fact that you don't want to put in an investment and then being turned down, and then you stuck with this investment. That's what I'm hearing, right?
I mean, honestly, if it didn't work out, then I'd take it somewhere else and do something else with it. I mean, you can always figure, where there's a will, there's a way.
As far as the parks direction, what I'm hearing also is that you need to help with maybe cleaning some areas up, or open up some areas up, and, you know, kind of improving some of the areas that need to be improved. I can see that. So we're looking at two sides. One, your investment, and two, is what the Parks Commission can do for you as far as cleaning up. And
yes, sir.
You know, like you had that young man got hit and fell down. That's, like Jason was saying, that's liability there right there.
Right. We had a 70-year-old who fell in the same area. Like, I mean, that's an issue. I mean, where it, you know, bruised his hip, it could have broken hers. So, I mean, I do look at the safety aspect of everything, because whatever we build, I mean, obviously it has to be safe for the people. That railway railing system in Goliad is really something amazing. And it was funny because I was bragging about it to a friend of mine, and he works at Formosa, and he said, I make that piping, I could probably get you that piping. And so it's nice to have that kind of feedback, because that's free. And so, I mean, there are people that care enough about this project that I think would be willing to fund it as well, like making railings like that, making entrance and exit points. I mean, I will make incentives to make it worth their while too. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Hey, Ashley, this is Gail.
Hi, Gail.
And I just wanted to say that I love your presentation. And there's lots of items that I have been working on for years that I could probably, if we partnered on them, maybe we can make some more headway.
I would love
and that's with the establishing the mile markers on the Riverside Paddle Trail. I've had in-depth discussions that I could share. And for trash pickup programs, we totally need that under our bridges, not only under our bridges, but also like at Patriot Park on the water's edges and the lake fronts, and at other parks I've seen that need some attention. Bennett Park was major, needed some help there. It's in Inez, for those of you that don't know. And the train, most people are just used to the train going in a little circle over there in front of the zoo. So your expanded train sounds pretty exciting, a whole nother service. And as for the wipeout area that you're talking about on the Guadalupe, I would like to see a map. Like where are you talking about? So maybe, you know, some trimming can be done, you know, easily, just taking some trimmers out there.
Right.
And something else on the proposed bike paths that you have, I would like to see a map of like, where are you envisioning these trails at? Okay. Something like that. And
totally work on that. And I think half associates
be careful with paddle leashes. They sound like a great idea on the river, but if you get tangled up in them, it's very, very bad.
Okay,
They're
good.
better for the ocean around here. And speaking of ocean kayaks are some of the best. That's all I got. And you got the best already, ocean kayaks. So they'll last forever.
I do like,
all right.
I
Thanks.
do like my boats. Thank you.
There was a really good point too. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to have those public input meetings, and so during some of those meetings, we'll definitely have the invite sent to the commission for the conceptuals, and where we can speak specifically about these types of items to make sure that it is included within the Parks Master Plan.
Great, thank you. Wonderful. Well, that pretty much concludes my presentation. Thank you so much, all of you. And Gail, we'll figure that out, get together. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank
you
y'all.
for your continued commitment to really developing that resource at the park, because I really do think that's something that, you know, as long as I've lived here, it hasn't had as much attention as it's having now, and I think it's a great thing.
Thank you. I love it, and I think that it's going to be really great as it just grows. I appreciate it.
Jason, you want to talk about the youth hunting project?
Yes, sir. All right. So during the last commission meeting, we had some brief discussion about the youth hunting program, and there was more discussion that wanted to be had. So I wanted to make sure that we had the presentation that was presented to council in front of you. I'm going to give you kind of the condensed version, but nonetheless, we'll go ahead and run through it. Yes, sir. You need me to wait? Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. Everybody online, can y'all see that? It's should be the first slide. It should say youth hunting program.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I got to double tap. There we go, perfect. Thank you, sir. Okay, so, you know, roughly the deer population has continued to increase in Riverside Park. What we did was we invited Texas Parks and Wildlife to come down and visit us back in July. We talked with them extensively about projects and numerous other things. But one of the conversation pieces that came up was a youth hunting program. And I don't want to specifically focus on hunting alone, although this is what that presentation is really surrounding. But it's really an outdoor program. It's going to be specifically targeting to underserved youth, targeting those that are you know, younger age, and focusing on the camping, the outdoor you know, nature aspects, as well as hunting. So what we did from that time when we met with Texas Parks and Wildlife in July was we set out in August and September to conduct a deer population survey. And basically, we did that for a couple months, submitted the information back over to Texas Parks and Wildlife, and they did their formula and came back with a recommendation to harvest 7 buck, 30 doe, and unlimited hog. This year, TPWD would recommend allowing 1 buck and 2 doe and unlimited hog for each participant. Again, we're trying to target the underserved youth. One of the interesting things about this program is in talking with Texas Parks and Wildlife, there's very few municipalities, if any, that really have this kind of a program taking place within their city's park system. I think this one's a little bit, Victoria's unique in that we have, you know, a 500+ acre park that's situated along the river, and it's just a unique park, if you will. So the hunting program, again, is just typically held in private land, state parks, and just to help with game population. So the program details, Texas Parks and Wildlife, they would provide the staff, the trained huntsmasters to lead the hunt, basically taking the entire group throughout the program for the hunting aspect of it. Like I said earlier, we're looking at introducing different aspects, camping, you know, outdoor cooking, etc. Texas Parks and Wildlife would probably be there and probably be happy to have some meals and stuff cooked for them, but their whole sole purpose would be specifically, you know, hunting and the huntsmasters. So the participant requirements that we're looking for, again, under the ages of 16. So we're looking at the age between 9 and 16. The participant would be required to obtain a valid Texas hunting license. And they would also have to complete a hunter's education course that would be provided by Texas Parks and Wildlife Department and the program itself prior to the hunt. We're looking at scholarships with Texas Parks and Wildlife and the Youth Hunting Organization, and there are scholarships that would allow participation to be free. In addition to that, we are currently undertaking the budget process, and so we're allocating some funds specifically for this program, just in case people do not get sponsorships or scholarships. So that way, again, in targeting underserved youth, we want to make sure that there is a minimal to no cost for the participant. And then Texas Parks and Wildlife, they do have hunting equipment that is available for some of the participants. And again, just looking to, if it wasn't funded, if you will, in the budget, or even if it is, we could still look at getting potential sponsorships to cover a lot of these things: the hunting license, processing of the meat, etc. This is a quick map of the program area, literally the entire Riverside Park. So Riverside Park, we would be looking at shutting down potentially for 2 full days during the entirety of this program. I can tell you that a lot of this stuff is very preliminary. We're just sitting down, just had a conversation late last week, actually Friday afternoon to be exact, starting to talk about some of the logistics and things that we want to see within this program. I'm not going to go through all of these, but to be quite honest with you, there's 4 different hunting style options. It's rifle, shotgun, crossbow, and bow. This is something that we'll be talking with Texas Parks and Wildlife Department about. We have had some preliminary conversations on the type of equipment that would use to harvest the animal. Again, this is just conversations that we have to have with Texas Parks and Wildlife and those that are stakeholders in this. I think what we're leaning towards is rifle or crossbow at this point. Rifle would be with a, oh gosh, I can't think. Yeah, I can't think right now. Sorry, conversations, I've slept since then. It's been 3 or 4 days. So, but we are looking at either rifle, crossbow, or bow, just for ease. Crossbow, I think, maybe, I don't know. But we still have to have those conversations with TPWD nonetheless. Make sure that we're all on the same page with what we're going to be allowing out there at the park. The program timeline. So last year, like I mentioned earlier, June, we met with Texas Parks and Wildlife. In August and September, we conducted the data collection. And then in October, we finalized those numbers with TPWD. One thing I failed to mention earlier is that Texas Parks and Wildlife's recommendation was to allow 6 participants in the program. That's going to be just from the fact that we don't know what equipment we're going to use to harvest the deer. And then, it is a pilot program, and we don't want it to get, we don't want to have too many folks too many people in one place when you're talking about this kind of a program or activity. We just want to make sure that everybody has enough space and are spread out. So in 2021, this year, in July, we would start conducting another deer count. We'd submit that information to Texas Parks and Wildlife. In August and September, we'd have those numbers finalized. September, I say September, October here, but September, we'd start publicizing the program, if not earlier. And then November and December, we would look at potentially having the youth hunting program take place. That's a whole list of a bunch of people that would be contacted. Just so you know, we would go through every organization and every department that would be involved, from PD to water and wastewater when they're checking those facilities on the weekends, as well as Ashley, yourself, as well as everybody in Riverside Park. So we would definitely make sure that we have it covered when it comes to who we would speak with, including communications. Some of the items that we presented to council for consideration and just the public relations and perceptions. There's definitely pro and anti hunting advocates. Riverside Park, it would be partially or even fully closed while the two-day program's being held. And then also, we have to look at the golf course. What kind of potential revenue loss would we be looking at? And so, taking in some of those revenues and the averages, we would be potentially looking at about $1,400 loss in revenue for the duration of this program. Again, it would depend on when we would actually be conducting this, whether it be on the weekend or weekday or a combination of the two. So that was a quick rundown of the youth hunting program that we had presented to council just a few weeks ago. I know there's some question. I'm sure there's some question. Again, this is very preliminary. I mean, we got to the point of where this is an interesting program. Like I told council when I first presented this, I mean, Parks and Recreation Department doesn't typically present a program to council. I mean, that's typically something they just allow us the benefit, and say, okay, program what you need, right? We'll go through the budget process. But this one's a little different. This one is actually looking at closing down the entire park. That's 500 plus acres, shutting down the golf course. And then the program, to be quite honest with you, is part of conversation as well, the type of program. Yes, sir.
So I know, like you said, this is preliminary, but would you be looking at doing it 2 days back to back? Or would you be looking at doing, a day here and like a Saturday one weekend and a Saturday the next weekend or something like that?
That's a very good question. We would be looking at a back-to-back program.
Back to back?
Yes, sir. So it would probably, a Thursday and Friday or a Friday and Saturday.
Okay. And as far as the staff that, like, I'm guessing the golf course employs a lot of staff, are they mostly like salaried? Like, would this be, I mean, I know it's only 2 days taken away from their, potential paycheck, but how does that affect the staff that works inside of the park?
Oh, very good question. We're going to keep them working.
Okay.
No, everybody in the clubhouse is part-time with the exception of one. We have a salaried position.
Okay.
And then everybody in the outside, if you will, in the maintenance side is all full-time.
Okay.
If we knew that this was going to take place, I mean, we would make sure that they definitely make their 40 hours or what they would typically make within that week elsewhere.
Other comments or questions or thoughts? Jason, I had one.
I like it, Jason. Will the parents be able to go, or is this something that just the kids are doing with the program?
Oh, absolutely. Sorry, it was a little unclear, but did you ask if the parents were able to go with the participant?
Right, yeah. I was just wondering.
Yes, sir.
I really love the idea, though. I think if there's a one for it, it's great. It sounds really cool.
Absolutely, sir. No, we would definitely encourage that. With the student or the participant, one family member would be allowed to go. Texas Parks and Wildlife during the actual hunt would have a huntsmaster with them, so it would be basically 3 people on the hunt, if you will. Also for camping, we would be looking at having them camp overnight, again, with their family member. We can make accommodations whether or not they're going to be at the RV park, whether or not they'll actually be camping on site, et cetera. One thing that I did fail to mention is that the meat, if we were talking about this, if there may be some individuals, if we're looking at underserved youth, that may not like the actual taste of the meat. And so we were talking about how could we cook for them and all that stuff. But there is a program, I can't remember the name of it, Hunts for the Hungry or Hunting for the Hungry, where they have donated meat to this organization, and they have fed people, fed needy through this program. So, I think if the participant at least can get the outdoor aspect out of this, and then if they don't like the meat or what have you, they could at least donate the meat to someone who is in need, and that meat will definitely go a long way.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So either way, are they going to clear out the deer? I mean, if this program doesn't happen, they still have to manage the deer in that area, right?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
So either way, the deer are going. I mean.
Yes, ma'am. In some way, shape, or form, we definitely have to And working with TPWD, that's their recommendation, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Jason, I noticed that a gentleman wrote a letter to the editor in the paper a few days ago, and his concern seemed to be, I think it's addressed by the hunt master and the whole program. I think that's an aspect of this program, is to kind of teach this this idea of a fair chase and what it really means to the sporting aspect of hunting, and not just harvesting the deer,
Yes, sir.
in a clinical way or something. That's just something that I think we need to be prepared to address. And I think, if I recall, that is a part of the program, isn't it? And that's part of what they're teaching, some ethics and some things like that.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Again, because it's so preliminary, I can't tell you specifics about what that would look like, but we would definitely want Texas Parks and Wildlife to have more than enough, very ample opportunity to meet with these participants and practice, their weaponry and practice handling of the weapon, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think that's something I'm sure that they'd be prepared to address if we were to ask them, and it might not be, since that did appear recently as someone raised it as a concern. They definitely were not an anti-hunting person.
Right.
They were just concerned that it was, that it would be not a sporting arrangement. Right. And I think the intent is to try to match. I mean, these are kids that have never done this before. So I think there's allowances that can be made for that, but they're trying to teach ethical hunting, conservation type.
Yes, sir.
Conduct.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to, if we'd like to discuss this at a future meeting, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to reach out to Texas Parks and Wildlife and have our representative, who we have been speaking with and communication with, have her here as well. If you can, that way you can have more specific questions for her. She'd be able to answer them.
It might not be a bad idea maybe to send her that letter so that she would sort of know that concern had been raised.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
If you like, you just let me know when you'd like it on the next agenda, and we'll put it on there.
Any other thoughts or comments? Well, hearing none, Jason, keep your spot.
I have one comment, actually, for now. For the hunting program, it might be cool to offer sponsorships to people for maybe in trade of some of the meat that's after it's processed, make a deal with, something like that.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you for the suggestion. I'll go grab my notes.
Parks and Rec update, you can move if you want to.
James, do I need to stay there, or am I good?
No, just keep talking.
Okay. Sorry, Okay. So wanted to give you a really quick update on what's been happening in the Parks and Recreation Department. One thing that I did want to bring up is the Taft Winter Games. I know we had mentioned that last time. It's for 2022 through 2024. So we were able to secure the Taft Winter Games for 3 years. So that's really awesome. I can tell you that it came about kind of quickly. We actually had a meeting with some area directors in the Houston area. And through that meeting, we found out that Pearland had backed out of the Winter Games for this upcoming year. And
what
yes,
association is
Real
this?
quick, because I'm new. What is the Taft?
Oh, TAF, I'm sorry, Texas Amateur Athletic Federation. Okay. So it's a lot of Texas amateurs that are coming to Victoria specifically for Winter Games, which are, we've got a handful of them easily. Okay. But it's a partnership with VISD.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So we found out that Pearland had backed out, and we were really quick to try to research and, hey, how can we kind of jump on where Pearland kind of jumped out? And so we're able to submit our bid for the Taft Games, and that's kind of how it came about. It was about a 2-month process. I think it was in December when we found out, and then January we had our parks tour, and then we were notified last month that we got the Taft Winter Games secured. So that's the reason why I brought it up then. So it was really quick. It was just one of those things that we had to jump on. It was either get on the bus or get left behind. And so we decided to at least try to jump through the window and get on, and we were able to. So we're good. So I just wanted to give you an update on that really quickly.
So
Yes, sir.
those will be happening when? And
Taft Winter Games will typically happen on MLK weekend. So that way the students have a Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to compete. And so again, that'll start in 2022.
And this is the games. Is it track and field, or is it what is it?
It's winter games, so it's going to be more aquatics. It's going to be what else did we have on there?
Pickleball, gymnastics.
There you go.
Kickball, softball, baseball. It's like
There's a whole
20
slew.
things to pick
Okay,
from. There's
good.
a lot.
And it's through a partnership. It's a community thing. I mean, we literally need to work with VISD, and we did work with VISD during the bid. And so, we're definitely going to have to utilize VISD facilities. And so again, that's one of the reasons why it was. We just had to jump on it and make sure that we got everything taken care of. So VISD, we're looking at probably a $20,000 to $30,000 worth of expenditures, but the financial economic impact of that is very large. Some cities have seen up to $1 million in economic impact just in that 3-day weekend. So we're hopeful that we see those kind of numbers too coming in, but we won't know until next year. So. Any other questions on that before I continue to move forward with the department update?
Have we alerted the hotels that we're going to be hosting that event?
Yes, ma'am. So Joel, as he mentioned in the tourism board meeting about the packet that he was trying to put together for us, yes, ma'am, he worked closely with us on this packet as well.
Oh, good.
I know something that's near and dear to everybody's hearts, the duck pond. I still don't have any information on it. May is when TPWD is going to come out and let us know whether we received the grant or not. But nonetheless, we have some funding in there to be able to move forward with that. Soccer fields. I wanted to give you all a quick update on this. Towards the end of last year, we started running into some issues that we were seeing at the soccer fields with the contractor. And to make a really long story short, we decided to bring down the owner of Fielder's Choice and speak with him directly about some of the issues and concerns that we were seeing. And so he understood where we were coming from, and he agreed to fix those concerns that we had. And so April, May is when you're going to see a lot of movement over at the soccer fields. A lot of it is, kind of flattening, rolling, making sure that we have enough grass growing in appropriately, et cetera. So I just want to let y'all know that we're still working with the contractor for those soccer fields. We have come to a solution in figuring out what we need to do, more specifically with the owner, and we'll continue to move forward with that. So April and May is when they'll plan to mobilize down here. Also wanted to let you know about the splash pad. We do have the Riverside Park in the future project. I think I mentioned that last time, but also wanted to let you know, and Kimberly may be able to speak on this more so than I, but we do have one splash pad that is currently inoperable. We are looking, we've had some issues with it for the last couple of weeks. Been in touch with contractors, more specifically the people who installed it, just trying to figure out what things are under warranty and what's not. So the reason why I bring that up is because we are in the process of opening those splash pads in the next couple of weeks. And so there's going to be one that will not be open, but we are trying to fix that before the splash pad season comes, so just so you're aware.
Which one's out of service?
Which one is it?
Community Center Park.
There you go.
Ethel Lee Tracy and Airline are good to go.
And then just wanted to give you all a heads up. Budget is crazy right now, so that's kind of where we're at. Kimberly and I were literally together for 6 hours going over numbers today. So our budget is due Wednesday, and we're just trying to get all that finalized. So yeah, with that, I'll pass it over to Kimberly for any recreation updates, unless y'all have any questions.
I just got one question, unless Kimberly's going to address it.
Yes, sir.
When we did the park tour, I noticed that Kimberly was taking a lot of notes of what needed to be repaired, what needed to be replaced, and where are we there? What progress have we made, or have we made any?
Well, from the notes that Kimberly took, we do have some things that are budgeted items that we've looked at in this year's budget. Some of them, quite frankly, are maintenance items that we need to touch base with staff and just make sure that they're on a schedule. What staff is doing right now is we're working with them on their turf management plan to free up time for them to focus on some of this maintenance that we need them to focus on. And that's been on the radar for Kimberly and I over the last couple of months. And I can just say that we've had those conversations and we're working on scheduling some of those issues.
Yeah, some of those conversations have shaped our conversations involving budget for the upcoming year. And those notes are also, because we took them in conversations for the Parks Master Plan, so they're being shared with the consultants so they can go ahead and kind of match up, and it's just more information and feedback from the community for them to go ahead and make their recommendations for the future. All right, so updates. All right, so with the splash pads, so the Saturday before spring break every year is when we open splash pads. So this Saturday is when we start. We'll be open every day for a full week, and then we go to opening only on weekends. So that's when we have Ethel Tracy and the Airline splash pad open, and Community Center Park splash pad is going to stay closed until we're able to get it safe and fix it. So a quick recap from two of the programs that we launched in February. So we launched our pop-up park trailer, which is all kinds of games in a mobile trailer to be at different community events. That was at Sun Valley Ranch for their Family Outdoor Expo, and it was really popular. The community had a great time, and we started receiving requests from other organizations offering community events, which is really exciting. So hopefully we'll be around and we'll be at parks in the coming months. We also had bingo night happen. So it was card bingo out at Riverside Stadium. It was really successful. It filled up. It was a lot of fun from my understanding. They did it live on Facebook, and I got to tune in that way. It was really neat, and there will be more opportunities for that in the future as well. We did have some sponsors for the prizes, which was really great. So we also have a Riverside Campout coming up April 17th. So we weren't able to do it last year, but we'll be able to be moving forward as Texas starts to reopen, which is really exciting. We have disc golf started last week, that league. We did have enough for the league to make, so that was really exciting. And they started softball, kickball, and sand volleyball. Registration closes on the 10th, and then games will start on the week of March 22nd. And I believe that's all the updates that we have. Yes.
How has the registration been for sand volleyball and kickball and all that kind of stuff?
I don't know where we are with it right now, but we meet every other month. We can share updates.
I'm just interested if people are actually coming out and doing that again.
Softball, to my understanding, they make every year. Softball is our biggest sport by far. Kickball is also really popular, and sand volleyball, I think, has stood fast and right of its own coming out, because it's a relatively new league to my understanding.
Okay.
So
I did sand volleyball last year, and we had a blast. It was awesome.
yeah.
The one thing that I will say on sand volleyball, and maybe we can bring this up later, is where they play, there's no backstop, so the balls constantly go out into the road. So it's like
it's really
one of those orange nets or something across the back would be a big help.
Yeah, because the road's right behind it, so
yeah,
that's
it's
not
literally
very safe.
directly behind it. So people are running after the volleyball trying to get it before a car runs it over.
Yeah, we don't need that.
No. Any other questions about any of our leagues, programs, anything parks related? Oh, I will say from the winter storm, we pretty much have everything fixed with the exception of Children's Playground Park in Riverside. We have several pipes that were busted during it, and parts are really hard to get right now. So we do have porta potties out there for the time being.
We found out we had copper pipes inside the restroom, so we're 86ing that and replacing that all with PVC.
There's no insulation in our restrooms since there hasn't really been much of a need to winterize every year. So we did not have the proper infrastructure not to freeze.
Kimberly, Jason, thank you both
Yes,
very
sir.
much for tonight and all the work you do. Let's move on to item F. Anyone have future items for placement on an agenda?
I think on the, only future item we can think is what you mentioned earlier about having that individual come from the, Texas, Wildlife and give us an update on his program.
That's a good thought. We can see about doing that, and if they would, I think it would help us
Yeah, to better
explain
understand.
the program to
Sure.
the community better when we have the opportunity to.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Well, if nothing else, without objection, we will be adjourned. Thank you all very, very much for your
Second that motion.
participation tonight. Thanks very much. Did you want to make a
Great
motion?
job, Justin.
I'll go ahead and
Great
make the
job.
motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, I was just going to do it myself, but you can go ahead and make the motion. We will stand adjourned at 6:21. Thank you all for participating on Zoom.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.